without that credit card, pay it off, and then go get another one. Because credit cards are great, I got one,
Yeah.
but you gotta pay it off every month. Do you know what interest rate you pay on a credit card?
Somewhere around 12%.
How much?
12 in that vicinity.
It's like 18 at like
not mine.
18, 25%.
You know.
You will go broke with a credit card. How many credit cards, huh?
I just have one.
One what?
One credit card.
Well, I'm not saying how many you have to cut. It shouldn't take you long. Do other people, other members of your family have the credit card, or you only have the only one?
Just my husband has another one.
Same credit card?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got two cuts to make. All right.
We don't owe that much on it.
Oh, well, now I feel better. What should you do?
Pay it off.
Cut it up. Literally, and how many kids you have in your family?
What?
How old?
14.
Fantastic. Tonight, around dinner, husband, you, son, I'm sorry?
Daughter.
Daughter, what's her name?
Selma.
Okay, Selma?
No.
Beautiful.
She is beautiful.
Sit around the table, take the two credit cards, and cut them up.
Teacher.
And Selma, what?
Give her a lesson.
Of course. And she's going to say, "Mom, what are you doing?" That's the lesson that parents, that's what we're responding. This is a great teaching moment for you. Okay, let me go down my list a little bit more. Watch your credit score. Oh my goodness. What's that about? What's a credit score? Do you know what a credit score is?
Yeah, the credit
Okay.
score means
Your
how much
FICO
money
score?
you're available to.
Right, and why is it important to watch your credit score?
She can't buy anything if you don't have credit.
Can't buy anything? Oh yeah, you can buy lots of things. Why is it important to watch your credit score?
They charge you more for the money you borrow.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
They charge you more for the money you borrow.
Exactly right. You borrow money, you borrow money for a car, you pay more money. You want to buy a house, you pay more money. Anything that affects, and mostly it's a car and a house, I suspect. But if you wanted to borrow money from a bank, a credit union, first thing they do is check your
Credit.
credit score. So, and what does it mean to watch it? Well, every person is allowed one free credit check
A year.
every year. So, one of the homeworks you have tonight is to check your credit score. And when you come back next week, don't tell me what it is, but tell me your reaction to it. And you'll get a number, and you can just Google what that number means and whether it's fair, good, perfect.
Sometimes your credit card does it for you too.
The credit card, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, your bank will do it.
And everybody
Yeah.
does it, everybody will do it.
But your credit, like if you go online, your credit card company will have it like on your thing sometimes.
Right,
On your billing cycle, like Discover always has it on your billing cycle.
Right. Okay, so that's the behaviors on the expense side. Let's talk about the income side. Save 10% of your salary. I'm just saying that right off the top. I don't know your expenses, I don't know your income. Why am I saying that? Why 10? How about 30? Why do I pick 10?
10's doable.
10 is doable, and so much of us, including myself, for so many years, really don't know what our expenses are. I mean, I'll talk a good game about this, and I'll equate it to running a business for sure, but it's hard. So, rather than ask you to figure out, here's my income, here's my budget, here's how I'm going to, what's left over, just forget all that stuff for now and save 10% of your salary. Is that hard or easy?
Easy.
Easy? What do you think? Can you save 10% of your salary? Okay.
I mean, at this point, but if I was younger, I couldn't. I mean, it depends where you are.
Where you are, for sure, exactly. Okay. Pay yourself first. I'm reading down my list. What does that mean?
Pay yourself first so that you have money down the road
Okay, so
for a
what
rainy
you,
day.
what you don't do is look at your checkbook at the end of the month and see how much money you got. What you do is if you get paid once a month, say on the first thing you do is pay yourself that 10%. Then you worry about everything else. Is that hard or easy? Well, it depends. If you're looking for a conversation for your kid that wants a $1,000 phone, it's an easy conversation. First of all, you're sitting down at the table and you've already paid yourself the 10%. You've already got the savings, right? You don't want a credit card. You don't want to spend more than what's on the credit card, so it's just an easy conversation. You know? And you don't have to go through, you don't have to give your 14-year-old a lecture like I'm doing to you on savings and stocks and bonds. All you got to do is say there's just no money. I wish there were. I asked Cindy for a raise, and you know, she said maybe then next month and then next year. Yeah, but there's just no money. How hard is that? But Mom! Repeating the same thing as a teenager doesn't make it more real. It just is what it is. Notice those words. It is what it is. It's that simple. Is that tough love? I don't know what you call it. Is it understanding your finances? For sure. Is it change in behavior? Maybe. Have a decent emergency funds. What's that mean? What's an emergency fund? Everybody talks about emergency funds. In every
In
article
case
you
something
read.
happens, your roof flies away, or
Okay?
you have a health issue, or
All the
you
above.
want to help somebody out.
All the above. Let me describe it in slightly broader terms. So whether you write down a budget and really understand where all your money goes, and few of us do that, we at least have a good sense of what expenses we have during the month. The heat, the light, the iPhone, the phone, the food, the whatever. It's when you have an expense that goes outside the norm. Now, the reason I'm using these other words is because it's not necessarily an emergency. You know, what is it? Your sister calls up and says, I need a bus trip from A to B. Can you send me $180? Okay, not an emergency, but it's outside the norm. How much money should you have in this outside the norm pot of money? How much money should you have? What percent of your salary? If you make $50,000 a year, how much should be in this outside of the norm pot of money?
10,000.
20%? That's where that, 10% divided by 2.
That would be a lot.
That would be a lot.
Depends on how big your
Especially
life is.
Well,
and how,
but it could be, what do you think? How much money would it take, in your case, by percent-wise? So when you got that phone call that exceeds, not an emergency, like, you know, you need $20,000.
Like $1,000,
Okay, could be 1,000. Okay.
but that's not like an emergency fund.
It's what?
That's not your emergency fund.
I'm talking about that fund
Oh.
that exceeds your daily, normal, reasonable expenses. $1,000 maybe? What do you think?
3 months,
For
3 months
what?
expense.
Well, what they always said is like
Now, what do
6
you-
months
What do you
of
think? Tell me, no, forget that. What do you think?
5%.
Okay. I don't know how much money. How much money? $1,000, $5,000? Give me a number. Any, how much?
2,000.
Okay, could be, okay, so somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000, you park, and it just sort of sits there. Are you interested in how much money you can earn on this money? Not really, right? You just want it to be there. So when your sister calls and says, can you send me $180 for the bus fare from here to Las Vegas so I can win $4 million, Okay, all right. So you have a decent emergency fund, that's what I said. Stay on track with retirement funds. Uh-oh, we're jumping way ahead here, and we're gonna talk a whole day about retirement funds. But whatever you end up thinking about, and we're gonna go through all this, and why is that hard?
You don't know how long you're gonna live.
That's one. And it's interesting. The
Well,
shorter
how
you
much
live,
it's
the
gonna
better
cost.
you're off because you need less money. But the longer you live, the worse you are.
Need more money.
Sort that out in a oh, I'm sorry.
Because the longer you live
The more money you need,
and
so we all
the faster it goes.
all the above. So, exactly. So this whole unknown about how long we're gonna live,
Or how much it's gonna cost, like in 20 years or whatever.
well put, how much you're gonna cost. Okay, okay. All the above.
Money. I don't wanna leave
But
anything for
there's
anybody.
no way that we can control our lives to 100%. I
No,
don't
but you
believe
just
that.
have a safety
what is
net.
That's what I'm
There's
saying,
something that you just have to like live through without.
Yeah, but you
thinking
can't
that
live
you're
through
No,
nil.
but
so
I
in
would-
control of
Let me
everything.
say that another way. I will guarantee you 100%, 100% that I have no idea what's gonna happen tomorrow. Guaranteed you, 100% have no idea what's happening tomorrow, much less 10. So that's a given in life. We don't know what's gonna happen at 10 o'clock when okay. So Cindy has no idea what's gonna happen tomorrow to her business, so that's not part of the equation. That's human life, that's the way the world turns, or what other soap opera there are to name that thing. Okay, so, but that doesn't mean that we can't plan.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so we don't get in, we don't let not knowing the future get in the way of any of our thinking. I want to just push that back a little bit. Okay, so with all the uncertainty of healthcare costs, where we're gonna live, where our kids will still love us even though we didn't give them $1,000 phone, and can we live with them, and who you're gonna marry or not marry, divorce, I mean, it's a crapshoot. But whatever you figure out, you gotta stay in tune, in touch with that plan. Will the plan change? Oh, absolutely. As your life changes, your plan changes, that's all. Just like this place, if Cindy's planning about this place and a big competitor opens up next door, you think her plans would change financially and her behavior? Oh, of course it will. Competition's right next door, so. I got us a few other things for the next 5 minutes. We're talking again about behaviors, right? An interesting to me is always the tax refund. Strange kind of a thing to bring up.
What is it?
Tax refund. What do you do with the tax refund? Do you want a tax refund?
I do, it's my emergency fund.
And what happens if you get an emergency during the year?
Well, that's what it is. It's like
I
I put
spend
it in
it.
the bank,
Oh, that's,
I put it in the bank, and that's what I
Excellent.
use for the whole year.
Okay, okay. Any other thoughts about
Ish.
that? Do you look forward to a tax
Think
refund?
something in the house.
I think it's hard because people think that their tax refund is an income and it's not. So I don't think you should wait until the end of the year because you have this money coming.
Right.
Because it changes year to year and the laws change and the benefits change, so
Good point.
especially this year, like I had a lot of friends that were like, oh, I was expecting to get 5,000 back and I only got 500. It's like, why would you wait for that to be your savings for the year? So I
Right.
think people don't realize what a tax refund is. It's not a gift from the government.
What is
It's your money, or that you paid or didn't pay. At some point, you're paying it. So just,
So it's a free loan to the government
It is.
Yes.
without interest.
Or not,
Yeah.
if you're owed that tax.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, a refund. So a refund is a free loan to the government. So if I can be the government for a day, I'd love to give you back your money at the end of the year. Because what am I doing with all your money while I got it?
working it.
You better believe it. Okay.
OPM.
All right, a couple more things. I know you gotta leave it at 10. Is every dollar that you have treated the same,
No,
same order.
The tips in their pocketbook definitely aren't the same.
Ah!
As cash check that they
Ah.
get, yeah.
So here I am going to talk about A minus B equals C, and all of a sudden you're telling me
There's a B
that you
plus.
discriminate.
I like it.
So we're having all these conversations about income and expenses, and then all of a sudden this dollar is not the same as this dollar. Can you imagine Cindy running a business like this? Can you imagine? My wife was here yesterday and she got a whatever she got, a haircut. And so Cindy's got income from the haircut people. And then somebody else gets a coloring. And that's money, and so Cindy has the coloring envelope. Do you think she does that? Does that make any sense? Does it? No. Does she commingle that money? Of course. So why are tips any different?
Goes straight to your pocket.
What?
It goes straight to your pocket.
Ah, so the behavior is where you put it. Where's that in our logical thinking?
It's better you 401k.
I think, like, because it's not going into your bank account, if you're not delegating what it's for, it's easier to spend it because it's like grab and go money.
But you know what we're gonna talk about.
Behavior.
And you know we're gonna talk about income and expenses. And we're not gonna make a distinction between where the money comes from. You know that's what's gonna happen. You know that's what you've gotta do. Can you do that? Even think about it. I'm not saying to do it yet.
No?
Can you even,
It's like stretching the rubber band.
Robin taught me how to spend my tips.
can you, and
She's cute.
I,
Yeah, she's like, you have to have an envelope for this, and you have to have
Oh,
it
she's so cute.
I'm suggesting, just like this business, you have income and expenses. And I'm gonna be so bold as to say your income includes your tips. Now, some go up, some go down, but it's the same income. And if you treat it differently, what's gonna happen? Bunch of bad stuff. A, you can't manage your money. B, you can't, in truth, have a conversation with your daughter. With your $1,000 iPhone, you can't say, we don't have the money, well, but except.
But it's not just the
Dave's,
money.
Dave's
thing.
wife was in here yesterday and she gave me a $100 tip. So today I have enough money. Can't have, you can't emotionally have that conversation and be truthful to yourself. So it's all the same. Now, maybe you don't report it out to the IRS, and maybe it goes in your pocket, and maybe the other goes to the, I don't care. Not making a difference. If you're trying to run this as a business and understand your expenses and your income, then that's what you gotta do. You gotta do. You can't be playing games with yourself. Yes, please.
So are you telling us to report more tips?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
I was telling you to make.
That's crazy talk.
See, what are you talking about?
No. I'm saying when you look at your income side in your life, it
Yeah.
includes the amount of money you.
If you say don't spend it, like include it in the money you make, don't spend it like it's like
It's
not
not.
as free as valuable as the money in your
That's
bank
exactly
account.
right.
It's actually more valuable.
I mean, people don't do that,
Well, that's why I'm.
like what he's saying.
That's why I'm standing up
That's
here.
what
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
He's just suggesting. And there are people that do that.
Yeah.
That's Barbara.
Okay, I think we have to stop.
Barbara's
because
good.
Okay, homework.
Homework.
My favorite part.
I want you to go review the behaviors that we talked about today. Oh, before you run out, and focus on the ones that you need to change. Be as specific as possible.
Review your behavior.
Focus on the ones that need to change.
Be as specific as possible And next week, I'll ask you, if you're willing, and obviously you may not be, to sort of talk about that. And if you have conversations with your daughter about phones or cutting out credit cards or anything else that, on the behavior side, take a minute to, don't put your name on this thing, of course, but I'm trying to get a sense of, have we? And when you're done, just put that into this envelope, so I don't know who's what and where. Okay.
No, I was listening to this podcast and it's basically, this guy was saying, do you know the difference between a poor mindset and a rich mindset?
Mhm.
And then he was like, a poor mindset is putting your money in saving account.
Oh, I'm so
Hmm.
sorry.
I was like, wait, I've been doing it all wrong.
I think next week, we'll talk about the definition of a savings account, because it has multiple meanings. There's investments and savings.
Okay.
We'll straighten that out next week.
Dave, can I have one of these?
Yeah. And when you're done, just put it in here.
Thank you.
I have business cards here. Feel free to take one. My address, my email address and phone number are on here. You can email me anytime or call.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dave. It's always fun.
See you next week.
Okay, we'll see you next
What we
week.
need. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.